Welcome, everyone. My name is Raquel Munares Diaz, and our COP team is extremely excited to share more about the National Early Care and Education Workforce Center and our community of practice opportunity. What you're going to notice is the chat has been disabled, but we are encouraging you to please use the Q&A feature to ask us any questions you might have. If you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So as you can see, we have a jam-packed hour to talk to you, and we're very glad you took this time today to join us. In the 1 hour we're here together, we're going to provide an overview of the National ECE Workforce Center. We're going to introduce the COP team and tell you a little bit more about our collaborating partners. And then, of course, we're going to give you some more information about the upcoming communities of practice. At the end, we're going to open it up for Q&A. And those questions that do not get answered now, we are going to compile them and make sure we create an FAQ to answer them. So please keep those questions coming. And then obviously, we'll tell you a little bit more about the next steps. So with that, I'd love to introduce you to Tanya Costin. She is the director of the TA work for our team. Tanya?
Hi, my name is Tanya Costin, and I am the co-director here at the National ECE Workforce Center, and I oversee technical assistance. Along with the leadership team, you will see more about Elena Montoya, who is the lead for Research to Practice, and Krishana Lloyd, who is the co-director for Research. And I am also housed at Build Initiatives. Next slide, please. We are so fortunate to do this work with many partners. As you can see on the screen, these are our 6 primary partners: Build Initiatives, Child Trends, the Center for the Study of Child Care Employment, the University of Massachusetts and Boston, the University of Delaware, and 0 to 3. Next slide. Here is a little bit about the goals of our work. I will not read them verbatim, as this slideshow presentation will be made available as well. But just to highlight that we are looking at how we go about strengthening system-wide coordination and goal setting around the 5 policy areas, which we'll talk more about later and throughout the presentation. And more importantly, how we are being responsive to the field and also representing the voice of the educators in an equitable experience across the workforce and settings. We are looking to provide you with innovative solutions and the ability to create well-balanced workforce, as well as improving equitable access for highly qualified educators for all of the young children and their families. Next slide. Here are the 5 essential policy areas that we are using to help frame the work of the National ECE Workforce Center. And they are connected to the community of practices that you will hear more about in depth later in the presentation. And finally, I would like to sort of connect you to the overall key activities within the center. We have leadership, coordination, and partnership. And this really speaks to how we work together across not only our own centers, but other national projects and TA centers. Research and knowledge development, research to practice, and most importantly, what you'll hear about is technical assistance. And finally, our communications and dissemination. Next slide. Finally, our technical assistance is at no cost to those who participate in it. Technical assistance will be offered as universal, targeted, and intensive, supporting and drawing upon the experience and knowledge of all of our primary and collaborating partners. The goal of TA is to address the critical needs of the workforce and tailor effective strategies to specific contexts that the participants are experiencing. Universal TA, of course, has its broadest reach and is available to all. You may be familiar with Workforce Wednesday e-blast and the related workforce webinars. The National Center for Early Childhood Quality Assurance led this work with a coalition of other federal centers and TA providers in the past, and it is now housed with the National ECE Workforce Center. We will also continue monthly e-blasts and those quarterly webinars. We also plan to offer a foundational series. And other important aspects of Universal TA is our ECE Workforce landing page. This website will house interactive tools, resources, and all kinds of helpful products. This will bridge the connection of TA to research and research to practice. And finally, it brings us to the community of practices that fall under targeted technical assistance, which we will learn more about this opportunity today. With that, I would like to turn it over to one of the TA team members, Danielle Fuentes-Johnson.
Hi, thanks, Tanya. I'm actually going to pass it back to Raquel for one additional bit of housekeeping before we get started. Raquel?
In my excitement to get started, and probably my haste to pass the mic, I forgot to share with you a very important slide, a slide that shows our appreciation of who has funded this work. So as you can see here, it's basically that this work has been funded by not only the representation of ACF, but we also want to thank our federal agents of PDGB5, OHS, OCC, and OPRI. And we also, as you're reading there in the slide, as you review the slide, essentially notes that the work of the center is its own and it's not necessarily representative of the ACF. So thank you for that. Sorry to miss this obligatory slide, but I was curious, before Tanya shared a little bit, I want to know, how much did you know about the National ECE Workforce Center before you started? Were you very familiar, somewhat familiar, or not familiar at all? Please take some time now. You should have a poll launched in front of you and click on either you were very familiar with the work, somewhat familiar, or not familiar at all. And Ingrid, whenever you think we've reached a capacity, maybe 75% or 80, please feel free to share the results. One thing I love to think about is I love to guess what I think it's going to be. Where do we think? So you might want us to do some little estimates. Where do you think most of us are going to lie? So we have, you can read it for yourself, but I'm very curious. So the majority of you are somewhat familiar with the center. Obviously you're here. So that's kind of interesting. 42% are not familiar at all. So thank you, Tanya, for giving us some background. And 7% of you are very familiar. So thank you for joining us as well. So with that said, and just to let you know on my end, it looks like we have 520 participants. So thank you for participating in today's webinar and in that survey. So Danielle, thank you for letting me catch up a little bit. Back to you.
Thanks so much. In a moment, we're going to invite Raquel back to help us better understand the process and structure of a community of practice. But right now, let's meet our team and our collaborating partners. So as you've heard, Raquel, we are led by Raquel, who is part of the Child Trends team. All of your TA specialists are part of the Build Initiative team. And they are Adra Jones, who lives in Northern Virginia in the DC metro area, Myra Rodriguez, who lives in Norma, Oklahoma, and myself, Danielle Fuentes-Johnson. I live in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Central Virginia. We are so excited to be joined by our 9 collaborating partners. We are very grateful for their knowledge, years of experience, and partnership. While we cannot possibly list all their areas of expertise, here's a brief high-level overview of how they will enrich these COPs. All Our Kin, AOK, specializes in supporting home-based childcare educators, including professional development and policy advising, always with educator voice at the forefront. Child Care Services Association, CCSA, their work focuses on making the profession of early education a possibility for as many as possible through professional development, scholarships, and education and career pathways. Early Care and Education Pathways to Success, ECEPS. supports educators in many ways, including their pathways to success, apprenticeships, and professional development. Advanced College seeks to remove barriers and make early care and education careers possible through higher education supports. National Association for Family Child Care specializes in supporting home-based childcare educators, including professional accreditation and leadership development centered on educator voice. The National Workforce Registry Alliance, NWRA, is focused on developing and strengthening professional registries to support accurate data collection for the ECE workforce. P5 Fiscal Strategies specializes in educating decision makers and ECE leaders on the relationship between the true cost of care and provider payment rates through fiscal modeling and other fiscal supports. Start Early has many supports for the ECE workforce, including human-centered design, professional development, leadership fellowships, and advocacy. And finally, UMass Amherst, the Donahue Institute, which operates an urban regional workforce development center and disseminates research-informed, evidence-based content around workforce development, among the many supports they provide for the ECE workforce. I'll now turn it back to Raquel, who'll tell us more about communities of practice. Raquel?
Thank you, Danielle. That was lovely. So now that you met our team and you met our collaborating partners, of which many are on the call today, as a matter of fact, we'd like to share a little bit more about a shared definition for communities of practice and our approach to the communities of practice. So next slide, please, Myra. So you're here because you want to know a thing or two about communities of practice, and you probably have a passion for them. So you might know that Etienne Wenger is the person who's coined with defining communities of practice, and his definition is right up there. It's people who share a passion or concern for something they do and learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. So originally, when Etienne Wenger was thinking about it, it was a space for people who shared a passion to gather and learn how to do things better. The National ECE Workforce COP plans to not only learn how to work better together, but operationalize it through strategies. We want to create actionable plans that impact change. We plan to do this through our COP approach. So if you can share the next slide, please. So we're going to be using the COP cookie framework, which was developed by the University of Florida Lastinger Center. And this framework basically takes into account 4 considerations: content, process, structure, and conditions. So the content are the topics that we're going to bring you guys together, and we're going to share more about the topics in a little bit. And the process is, once we're gathered, how are we going to engage you, our community of learners, in that topic? Engagement is key to ensure we're learning from one another, and also that we're taking it back to action. Today, we're also going to tell you a little bit more about the structures: when, where, how often we're going to be meeting. And then finally, and the most important consideration for me, is the conditions. When you are here as a community of learners, we want you to feel collaborative, and you want to feel that we're cultivating collaborative structures where you guys are learning from each other, celebrating successes, and collaboratively problem solving. Our end game is really that you guys would stay community of partners beyond the COP experience. So now that I told you a little bit about the definition and I told you a little bit of approach, Adria is going to share a little bit more about the content, this content piece of the cookie framework. Adria?
Thank you, Raquel. Okay. So the National ECE Workforce Center will be offering 5 communities of practices. These 5 topic areas are aligned with the ECE Workforce Center's 5 policy areas, which frame and lay the groundwork for the work of the center over the next 5 years. The topics are developing wage and salary scales, strengthening ECE working conditions, centering the ECE workforce and policy and programming, creating partnerships and pathways to support credential and degree attainment, and using data to support workforce advancement. The COP topics, again, are aligned with those 5 policy areas, and each COP will provide an opportunity for participants to learn more about their corresponding topic while strategizing how we can build systems, policies, and practices that address existing inequities within each policy area. Also, we'll focus on how we can increase access and improve outcomes, especially for Black, Native American, Latina, immigrant, multilingual, or other underserved or marginalized educators and providers. So now let's take a deeper look or a closer look at each topic. Next slide. Right. So our first community of practice topic, developing wages, will focus on creating and implementing compensation skills. This will include exploring topics such as analyzing and identifying comparable pay scales, investing in employee benefits like loan forgiveness and retirement programs, financing wage scales, as well as how we can ascribe value and work to our workers' roles, experiences, and their qualifications. The next COP topic is strengthening the ECE working conditions. The Strengthening Work Conditions COP will focus on leveraging strategies to improve working conditions in early care and education settings. Participants will use tools that measure quality of working environments for both home and center-based childcare settings, and will identify areas within policies, state, or programs that can address findings from self-assessment tools. With this year's TA focus being on retention and recruitment, we decided to have the compensation wages and strengthening work conditions COP sessions with a number of 5 sessions. The next 3 topics will occur over the course of 3 sessions. The first of which is centering the ECE workforce in policy and programming. Now, while centering the ECE workforce will be embedded within each community of practice, this particular COP will focus specifically on strategies for including educator voice and providers' voices to inform ECE policy and programs. Participants will learn and practice incorporating voice into their own policies and programs relevant to the ECE workforce. The next community of practice topic is creating partnerships and pathways to support credential and degree attainment. This COP will highlight innovative partnerships and policies to facilitate accessible career pathways to support degree and credential attainment. We'll explore existing initiatives that support and incentivize education, as well as other pathways to success, including apprenticeships. And finally, the last COP offering will be using data to support workforce advancement. Data deficiencies impede every aspect of the ECE field, including planning for ECE workforce recruitment. The COP will focus on what data participants can access and what it can tell them. They'll explore what additional data is needed to identify existing disparities and to devise and implement strategies to address inequities that result from state policy or as evidence in programs, practices, or implementation processes. Participants will learn how to develop plans for strengthening data collection, reporting, and analysis with a focus on strengthening their capacity to address racial disparities. Right, so those will be our 5 topics that will be available for you to apply for. Before we get into the application process, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Myra, who will tell you more about the group structure and timeframe. Myra?
Thank you, Adrian. So we will now go over the group structure for the COPs. So each COP topic will be divided into 2 cohorts. We're going to have cohort A and cohort B for each topic. So we created 2 cohorts to accommodate the different time zones and also to allow more participants in each COP topic. We might also group participants depending on the roles and responsibilities. So it could be that cohort A and B might bring slight differences to cater to the needs and preferences of the participants in that cohort. Each cohort will accommodate about 30 participants. So that will give us about 60 participants per COP topic. There is going to be an application process for the COPs. So when you apply, you will be asked, what is your COP topic of preference? But you don't have to select a cohort. You will be automatically assigned to one. If for some reason your cohort assignment doesn't work for you or your team, please let us know, and we will try our best to accommodate your needs. We are expecting that participants will be working in teams of 3 to 5. So please invite your coworkers, your colleagues, and preferably members of other programs and disciplines. This could possibly be members of other groups and tables that you're currently participating in. We would like to bring together teams of leaders from states, territories, tribes, communities, and across early care and education programs. That includes, but is not limited to, center and home-based childcare, Head Start, early Head Start, pre-K, and CCDF. Okay, so now let's go over the COP schedule. So each cohort will consist of 3 to 5 virtual sessions. So you will be invited to a session every 4 to 6 weeks. Sessions will be held on Thursdays between September 2023 and March 2024. Each COP session will last around 90 minutes. So cohort A will occur at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and cohort B occur at 3 p.m. Eastern time on the same Thursday. So here in your screen, we have the 5 topics, the 5 COP topics, and their scheduled dates and times. As Adra mentioned, the first 2 topics, wage and salary scales and working conditions, will convene 5 times for 5 COP sessions each. And for the rest of the topics, teams will convene for 3 COP sessions. Within the next few days, everyone registered for this webinar will receive an email with a copy of the PowerPoint slides and the links to the COP application. You will find the COP schedule in both of those documents, so please keep it handy. And if you already know which topic you're interested in, we encourage you to place polls on your calendar to ensure that if you're selected, you will be able to attend all sessions. You will be notified of your cohort assignment once you're accepted into the COP. So for now, we recommend placing calendar holds for both time slots, for 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern time. One of the goals of the COP is collaboration. So we want teams to work with other teams to share their wisdom and collaborate in problem solving. To encourage collaboration, the COP teams will be using the Prenatal to 3 Exchange platform. This is an online platform that is designed for engaging with others, sharing resources, continuing conversations, and posting questions and answers around the COP topic. Participants can use the Exchange platform in between COP sessions and after COP completion. Participants will also have opportunities for checking calls with TA specialists in between COP sessions. So if you have any questions, need clarification, or need technical assistance, please contact us and we will be happy to assist you. Okay, so now let's review participants' expectations. As valued participants in this learning community, we respectfully ask that you, if all possible, attend all COP sessions. We understand that emergencies happen, and we certainly don't expect you to attend if you're experiencing one. But we very much encourage you to keep consistent participation so that we can successfully carry out the work in a way that you and all participants can fully benefit from the COP. Participants will have pre-session activities. We expect those to take no more than 30 minutes. And those assignments will always be related to the work that you're doing in the COP. So you don't feel that you're adding to your already busy schedule. Participants will work in teams and collaborate with other teams. So we ask that you please contribute to the community by leveraging your knowledge, experience, ideas, and resources. You can collaborate during the COP sessions and continue to build community using the Prenatal 2-3 exchange platform in between sessions and after the COP has concluded. Please be sure to apply the COP learning. We ask that you use your knowledge, guides, tools, and resources to further the work that you're already doing. Please also develop and implement actionable work plans as a result of COP participation and help us elevate educator voices in the early care and education field. And finally, we ask that you help us improve future TA offerings by providing honest feedback and answering the evaluation surveys that you will be getting after each COP session. So this is how a COP session will look like. We will start with an icebreaker. We will review the agenda and any housekeeping items. Then we will move to a group check-in, a few minutes that we can use to discuss assignments, brainstorming, have open discussions, or go over any action plan updates for the teams. For about 20 to 25 minutes, participants will then receive core COP content from subject matter experts. We will go into breakout sessions for about 20 minutes to reflect on the content that was presented and to facilitate team activities. Teams will return to the main room for small group reporting, and then we will end with next steps and closing. After this, I think I'm now going to hand it over to Danielle, who will talk about the COP application process.
Thanks, Myra, for helping us understand the structure of the COPs a bit more. So now let's talk about the application process. Here are a few things we suggest you consider before you apply. First is that while the National ECE Workforce Center will offer many more opportunities for support in these core policy areas in the near future, for this activity, you'll only be able to apply for one topic. So please consider which COP topic is the best fit for you, your interests, passions, and which is the best fit for your work, role, and your team. While the team is the application is relatively simple to complete, you'll want to be prepared to answer questions about your overall goals and intention for participating in this COP, as well as be able to provide contact and demographic information for your team members. We suggest setting aside about 15 to 20 minutes to complete the application. If you are applying as a team, we highly recommend being strategic about who you invite to be part of your team. When you're building your team, decide who you would like to collaborate with for this learning experience. Team composition may vary based on phase of work. Your team may be comprised of coworkers, colleagues, state administrators, partner organizations, etc. Anyone who can help advance your goals. Depending on your COP topic, you can partner with private and nonprofit community businesses, institutions, and across early care programs, because we know that those partnerships can be better prepared to address the workforce challenges. And knowing that those challenges are often and generally systems related, having the right people at the table can speed up the process of identifying problems and solutions. While we are prioritizing teams for this opportunity, you may consider applying as an individual. There is a separate application form for individual applicants that will be provided as well. In anticipation of having many participants interested, all applications will be reviewed using a screening tool. Accepted participants will receive calendar invites for all sessions related to their topic of preference. There will be no need to enroll for each individual session. Next slide, please. Okay, so what happens next? Well, registrants from today's session will receive an email with the link for the COP application. It will also be posted on our website. The deadline to submit an application is August 31st, 2023. Community of practice participants will be expected to work in a team with other teams. As a reminder, though, we do have applications for individuals as well. Before you begin completing your COP, we invite you to contact others in your state or community who may be interested in joining your team. We suggest that teams are made up of 3 to 5 participants, and that can include but are not limited to work colleagues, peers, professionals from various disciplines, and previously established groups. The National ECE Workforce Center will review submitted applications and notify applicants of placement decisions by September 21st, 2023. All who see themselves in this work are welcomed and encouraged to apply. However, there are some factors we will be considering throughout the selection process, as we'll see on the next slide. So, what are we looking for in applicants? Well, we're looking for teams who are approaching this work with the intention of advancing equity, who are focusing and tailoring strategies to increase opportunity for historically marginalized and underserved populations within the workforce. We're also looking for those whose team goals are aligned with the overall COP goal of supporting a diverse, qualified, and effective workforce, and focused on providing high quality early care and education experiences for children and families across all care and education settings and programs. We're looking for teams at varying stages of implementation. Whether you are in an exploratory phase, preparing to implement, or your work in your respective topic is already well in progress, you're welcome to apply and participate, and we need your perspective. To sum it up, we would like to build a community that is truly representative of the ECE workforce and the families they serve. We'll be looking for a variety of roles, responsibilities, and influences, everything from state and program administrators, directors, center and home-based educators, technical assistance providers, coaches, etc., as well as locations, and varied locations. We'll be seeking teams from all over the country, from every geographic level, state, regional, local, suburban, urban, rural, to make these COPs as representative as possible. So with that, let's take a minute to look at the chat. I'm going to invite my colleagues as well to take a look at the chat and answer as many as we can, knowing that if we are not able to answer everyone's question at this moment, we will have an FAQ. Let's see. So this COP application is open to all 50 states, US territories, and tribes. Some of the questions.
Daniel, if you want to pitch some to us, I know some of them have been answered live,
Fantastic.
and I'm not aware if people see that those were answered live. So let us know what you think.
Fantastic. Since you won't be selecting everyone who's interested in a particular topic, can applicants rank topics for consideration?
So obviously our goal would be to everyone can come. That's why we want everyone to apply. And if you see yourself in the workforce and you're passionate about this topic and in a place you can apply it, we're encouraging you to do it. We are aware that we might not have all the slots available. We are asking you to apply for one for now, since you're applying as a team, and a team that can make action in compensation and wages, or a team that can do something with strengthening conditions. So since priority is given to teams, we're trying to limit you to select one and create a team that really is passionate about that topic and can do some actionable change. Please keep in mind that slide that was shared earlier by Tanya, that our offerings at the National ECE Workforce Center is way more than the COPs. So if you're not selected now, please keep in mind we will be offering COPs in the upcoming years. We also have a lot of universal TA supports. We have a website, we have a foundational series that you're going to hear more about, and an opportunity for intensive. This is not the only opportunity. And to be honest, this is the hardest part for us as a team because we'd love to accept all of you that are interested in applying. But obviously there has to be a selection criteria, which was explained a little bit earlier.
So let's take one more. And that's, will this be first come, first served pick, or will we be picking the best candidates from the applications submitted?
I can take that as well. But I'm speaking on behalf of the team. We've taken a lot of time and worked through what is the selection criteria. And if you can go back to that slide with the selection criteria, Myra, our biggest thing is about advancing equity. And Danielle just explained that. We also want to make sure that the COP goals that were described are aligned to your COPs. There's going to be a place where you are going to answer, what is your COP goal? How are you going to advance equity? We also want to make sure we have diverse representation of teams. That's why we're casting the net, and we want to see a vast variety of the workforce represented in it. And then once we look at that, then we're going to make sure once we have that and with the selection criteria, we want to make sure we have diverse representation of geographic locations as well. So we're going to be looking at where people are coming from and make sure that we don't have only a West Coast COP or an East Coast COP. We want to have variety and diversity in the geographic locations as well.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Raquel. I think for the rest of the questions, we will make sure we get answers. Keep them coming. We're going to put that FAQ document together and post it on the website soon. Right now, we're going to launch a poll. We're going to see how likely, after hearing this information so far, are you to apply to participate in a COP? And I'll turn it back to Raquel to talk us through the results when they're ready.
Yes. And keep in mind that we obviously wanted to give the individual a voice and a choice as well. So we're not discouraging individuals from applying. We'd love to know more about who the individuals that are trying to apply. So if that is a discouraging factor, please realize that we'd love you to apply as well. And Ingrid, I know you're the one looking at the poll. So whenever you think, and again, obviously I know what my hope is in this, where the votes are going to go, but I love guessing. Oh, it's ready to launch. So exciting. Yay. Okay, so we have 59% very likely. Sorry, that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for the most being very likely. And 33%, thank you for sticking around and learning more about the opportunity. And feel free to check in with us too, to say, what would it take for you to be able to engage in this COP opportunity? And the 8%, thank you also for being so honest and letting us know, and know that there's many ways to engage with the center. It's not just the COP opportunity. So with that said, we have one final poll. And for those of you who were interested for sure, and if I were to apply for one, we're just curious for our own curiosity, which of the 5 COP topics is the one that you would want to apply for? Is it developing wage and salary? Is it the strengthening the ECE working conditions? Is it the one about centering the ECE workforce and policy and programming, the partnership and pathway one, or is it the using data one? So if you're not interested, you don't have to vote, but if you had to pick one and you had time was available and everything was there, which is the topic that it drew you the most? Don't forget to make your inner predictions while we wait for the votes to come in. Ingrid, in this one, since there was like a few percentages of people that were not going to apply at this time, maybe we can, maybe at 60, close it out. So this was my hope. I hope it was going to be divided equally around it. So I'm hoping that all of you that are here today and interested in helping spread the word will be able to apply and will be able to join the COP. So I obviously see that there's at 31, 30, and 30 for strengthening working conditions, the policy and the pathway ones, followed very closely behind to wage and salaries. And then the 19%, still high, 60 of you were interested in the data one. So thank you for that. What I'd like to do at this time is not only give you 20 more minutes of your life, or maybe 18 more minutes, but tell you a little bit more about the next steps. So you are going to be in our website, which you have the address right there. You're going to be having the application links. Again, there's two separate links, one for the individual and one for the team. So please make sure if you are gonna apply as a team, you've gathered with those 3 to 5, well, I guess if you're a team of 5, with the 2 to 4 other people that you would like, you're interested in applying with, because it's gonna ask you some questions that you guys should be knowing as a team. So it's one application per team. But if those of you who are like, I don't have a team right now, but I still want this opportunity, please, please, please then go to the individual application and fill it out. Again, the questions are going to be about your goals. How are you going to advance equity? Pretty much very similar to the selection criteria, which matches the application process. I'm trying to now make sure I don't forget anything and peek at my notes. You're also going to get an email, which would give you the link as well. We want you to share this opportunity with others, just like a community practice. We learn and grow from each other. Maybe there's somebody in your networks that would be interested. So please let them know what's going on at the center. All our information is at the website. And then our email is there for if you have any particular questions. We are going to take all the questions that were not answered at this time and create an FAQ. Once that's created and our responses are there, we'll also post that in the website. And I'm wondering if I am forgetting anything else beyond a ton of gratitude for all of you that were here today. There is an evaluation going to come up at the end, since you do have a few extra minutes before our 1 hour dismissal time. If you guys can please fill out the evaluation to let us know how you feel about today, and I would love to gather your opinions. Tanya or anybody else, is there anything else?
Raquel, we just want to make sure that participants are able to see the COP application links in the Q&A.
I'm putting them, oh, where would I put them, in the Q&A?
I think they're already there.
Oh, then perfect.
That they're able to see it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Myra. Tanya, anything else?
No, I think you covered all the relevant information that the teams or individuals will need in order to apply.
And I was peeking through the participant list. I saw a lot of our core partners, our collaborating partners, our FPOs, and a lot of people I know from across the state. So thank you guys for joining. And for those of you I don't know, I can't wait to meet you. So thank you for this time. And that's it.